And our talk of the town today here on AM 1390 KRFO. Darryl Hill joins us. It's the 45th Owatonna Christmas bird count coming up this Saturday, and if I'm not mistaken, you've been involved in every single one of them, Darryl, right?
Yep, I have been, and Nels Thompson, a biology teacher here.
Okay, 45 years of them. I mean, we'll just start off by talk about the importance of the bird count. What do you really gain as far as knowledge from this?
Oh, it's a project of Audubon Society, and they do it to get people counting birds all over North America, South America, Central America, about the same time. So if you put all those numbers together, then you can see whether the bird population is increasing or decreasing. They can tell now if it's the movement of the birds are going farther north each time, maybe because of global warming. So it's a scientific project that's gone on for 117 years now.
Okay. And this Saturday, before we get to the details, we know it's going to be a pretty cold week. What do you think? Can you kind of guess what kind of an effect? Would there be fewer birds because they're honkered down somewhere, or do you think there might be more birds because they're going to be extra hungry because it's cold, or what do you think, or not?
Well, I think that if you put feed out and spread it some on the ground, and then fill your feeders with fresh thing, we may get more because in the town we're more sheltered and so forth. But I think we will have less total numbers because we usually get larger numbers when Lake Colmeyer is not frozen over, because then we can go down and there are a whole pile of ducks there and geese there. We can call it in the thousands. We won't have those now because Lake Colmeyer is frozen and water areas are. So I think it will probably be lower numbers than usual.
I would guess you've seen the whole gamut as far as temperatures since you were doing 45 of these, right?
Yeah, we have the coldest one we had. It was a minus 22 in 1983, and the warmest one was 50 degrees in 202. And I'll take the 202, thank you.
Can you remember anything about 83? Did you kind of stay out a little less, or can you remember how you dressed or the other people, or what?
No, I don't. You just have to go dress for the weather, whatever temperature it is, and so forth. If you get a lot of wind, one time we had snow and wind, and we probably stopped around noon because it wasn't safe to be around.
Mm-hmm. Anyone who wants to take part, they can just call you at 451-5073. So let's say someone signed up, says, I volunteer for the field count. What does that person do? At what time and where should they be, and what can they expect?
Okay. Are you talking about the field count or the feeder count?
We'll go field count first.
Okay. Field count is when we go out into a designated areas with a driver, driving around so that we can see the pheasants and the turkeys and the snowbirds that will be coming down, snow buntings and so forth. Then they should contact us, and we start around 8 o'clock. They meet at my home, and we'll try to put you on one of these teams in the one in each of the quadrants. And we'll just drive around and try to find as many as we can out in the field, because there are birds out there, pheasants, there are turkeys there are snow buntings there.
So you do it from the car. You don't have to worry about trudging through deep snowdrifts.
We do get out a little sometime, but that's when we want to.
Okay,
but it's basically inside.
So you start at 8 and you're done probably what time, you think?
Well, we go all day, but some person wanted to go. I have one lady who wants to go for half a day, so she'll be there for the morning and then she'll go. So.
Okay. You get quite. Is it on the rise as far as participation, or holding steady as far as counters?
No, we're getting more people counting at their feeders, and that's another factor that gives us good numbers. The more people we can count in Owatonna or Claremont, or we go down to Steel Center, the more people counting, we just have more eyes counting the birds that are here, so it becomes more accurate. So, and on a cold day, it's just fun. Now, you don't have to just sit there all day in a chair looking out.
Some people will, maybe.
It's like you might want to do that, but what you do is you look, oh, look at all the birds out there now, and you go count them, and then they'll fly away, and then you can go vacuum or wash, whatever you want to do, and then when you come and get it again. Now, if you do a feeder count, however, you don't want to try not to count the same one twice. And so what you do, let's say you look out and I see 4 chickadees out there, and then later on I look out and there are 5 chickadees there. You don't add 4 plus 5 or 9. You count 5. It's the most that you saw at any one time. Because otherwise the chickadees, they go back and forth all day.
Mm-hmm.
Man, one chickadee could give you 15, a count of 15. So that would not be accurate then.
Okay. Yeah, they may come back for breakfast and lunch
Yeah,
and supper, and
that's
boy,
true.
as long as you're putting the food out.
Good Lord.
Yeah. What about birds? Not a lot of folks know some birds. There's a lot, like, I'm not sure what it is. It's kind of red and white. What do you do in that situation? Just ignore it if you aren't sure what it is?
Well, we hope the ones that come to your feeder, most of them are people do know them. I mean, we don't want you to make them up or anything like that, but the common ones would be chickadees. They know nuthatches because they go down. You can get goldfinch. They're not those bright yellow, but they eat the little black thistle seed. We get a lot of those. We have, if you see some purple on it, it's probably not a purple finch, but a house finch. Because a house finch is common now, and you'll see in large numbers. You get blue jays. A couple of days ago, I saw 3 mourning doves, cardinals. So those starlings you might see. You might see if it's a black one.
Do folks need to call ahead of time if they want to do a bird feeder count, or can they just wait till the day's over and then contact you?
Yeah, if they're home and decide, they can just let me know what those is, and they should keep track a little the number of hours that they said. Let's say they were there in the morning, so we counted for 4 hours. If they're there all day, maybe 8 hours. So we need to know that besides the number of each species.
And what's their deadline to get the data back to you, Darryl?
Well, I'd like to either on that day they can call me, and or they can write it on a sheet of paper and put it in my my box in front of my house. But we'd like it on, excuse me, on Saturday or Sunday. But Monday, I do it too. But we'd like it close so I can start processing it.
All the bird counts you've been out, can you recall a time where your mouth dropped open? You went, "What in the world's that bird doing here?" You must have had a few like that, or not?
Oh yeah, and those are the fun. We've seen in the 44 years now, 106 different species, and so we're now looking for that odd duck that you don't usually isn't here. We got last year a little owl, and we didn't see it too often. It's the first time we've seen it. So we look for that unusual. We saw a pied-billed grebe under a...
Never heard of it.
Well, it's a kind of a diving duck that you see, and it's not a duck, but it looks like a duck. And we saw one of those the year before. So you just never know what you're going to see.
Any idea how the diversity of birds here in southern Minnesota stacks up with other parts of the country? Or do we have more different species than, say, other parts, or are we just kind of average, or do you know or not?
No, I don't know that, but I would think we might be lower. I think there are certain areas where they have water. If they have open water, they're going to have more. Like we're frozen, so we don't see any of those. Wooded areas will bring, if you're in a big forest area, they get different kind of birds than what we do in the prairie. So we would get things that would be like prairie birds, while some other would maybe get forest birds or water birds.
Have you noticed any trends over a number of years where you're concerned, like what's going on here? We used to have a lot of these, or maybe the other way around, like, boy, we sure got a lot of these now, or not?
Yeah, both ways.
Both ways.
We have some now that, because of global warming, I think, the birds are climate is warming, so they are headed farther north, where it used to be in Iowa. Now it's in Minnesota, and pretty soon some birds that were in Minnesota are now in Canada, and this is where they're finding that it's likely that birds will go extinct faster than any other insect, bird, or animal, than any other creature, because they're so specific on what they need to eat and the temperatures and so forth. So if we, they predict that in 20 years it will be maybe 30 species gone extinct because of the global warming.
Now you'll get your data this weekend, then obviously you pass it on to the National Audubon Society, and then they gather everything from the country and come out with a report, or what?
Sure, that's exactly what it is. They can tell the patterns if it's going farther north. They can tell if the number's going up and down, and so it's a scientific project that the whole world uses, and they're starting to even count over in Africa and in Europe and so forth. So the range is getting. We have about 68 counts in Minnesota, and these circles that we work from cannot overlap at all. So 68 different reports coming in will represent Minnesota.
I know a number of years ago it was a $5 fee, but that's not the case anymore.
Nope.
You can take part totally free.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Okay. Is there a certain part of, other than looking for a certain type of bird, is there anything else you kind of have your eyes open for when you go out looking for these birds? I know it's that rare one, but anything else you're thinking about when you're going out and about or not?
I guess probably I'm just looking for the bird and then identifying it. And, I hope that our songbirds stay around, but no, I don't really. It's kind of always exciting to me. What's the big thing going to be that happened this year? What new species, or look at this number is high this year.
Last year was kind of about an average year,
yes.
Wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Any certain years that stand out in your mind where we had just like, oh my goodness, look at all these birds this year, or not?
Well, sure, because in 2002 we had 8,231.
That was the warm one, right?
Yeah, and then in 1972, when we first started, was 2,324. So that's quite a range.
Yep, the warm
and
weather.
And then average is around 4,300, and that's about what we had last year.
Okay.
So
again, if folks want to take part, either from home with their feeder or go out there in the field, just call you 451-5073. Anything else in the last couple of minutes you'd like to bring up about the bird count or about the Audubon Society?
No, I guess I think that if it's fun to have birds around your house because it's movement. You're sitting in where it's warm and they're cold. I would encourage people to feed bird and put your feeders close to the house so you can see them. Don't put them way back, and give them some thistle seed for maybe the goldfinch, safflower seeds, and sunflower seeds. With those 3 seeds, you could get most birds that we would find around our feeders.
I'm not much on birds, but I guess if there's one I get a kick out of. I get a kick out of the blue jays just because they're mean and they're nasty and I just like them back and forth. Is there a certain kind of bird that maybe makes you sit there and stand there or whatever and stare at them for a while or not?
Well, starlings are not a good bird for us because they take the habitat and they bother other ones. Blue jays they're just kind of feisty.
Yeah, that's why I like watching them.
They're not a mean bird. They're in control. You don't fight with them, but so no, it's each one have kind of a personality too. Birds. It sounds kind of silly, but you know that. Yeah. Crows. Look at crows.
Yeah, there you go. Darryl Hill from the Owatonna Christmas Bird Count. It's this Saturday, and again, Darryl's number is 451-5073 if you want information or you want to take part. And that's our Talk of the Town for today on AM 1390.